In July 2009, Tiffany became the wife of a man who was the sole parent of a 6-year-old daughter from his previous marriage. Initially, this union seemed to be progressing well until a series of unfortunate events unfolded less than a year into the marriage. Instances of Tiffany physically mistreating the little girl, Emani, started to become prevalent. Emani confided in her school's nurse about her fears of going home with disappointing grades, as she was worried about the likely punishment that would ensue from her parents. She also mentioned an ordeal where her stepmother used a curtain rod to spank her. The nurse noticed several injuries, including scabs, bruises, and welts on various parts of Emani's body, such as her arms, back, chest, legs, and shoulders. This alarming discovery led to Emani being taken to a law enforcement facility and the subsequent arrest and charging of Tiffany with first-degree child cruelty. Tiffany admitted to spanking Emani with a brown leather belt on 3 occasions because the little girl was not eating fast enough. Eventually, she pleaded guilty and received a sentence of 5 years of probation under the first offender program in Georgia, and she lost her job as a teacher. A few months later, the case was closed by the Georgia Department of Family and Children's Services after Tiffany and a man successfully completed parenting courses. Within this period, Emani was taken away from the Moss residence and placed with her maternal grandmother, Robin, for a duration of 6 months. It was notable within this period that Emani's overall condition improved. Her performance in school had gotten significantly better, her demeanor had improved, and Robin noted that the young girl was a delight to care for and nurture. After what seemed to be a successful period in Emani's life, she was returned to the Moss residence by defax after 6 months. Robin tried reasoning with her son, Aman, to let Emani remain with her, but he was bent on getting his daughter back. After this, the physical torment Emani faced from Tiffany resumed and went on for 2 more years. In July 2012, there were recorded instances of Emani attempting to flee from her home on 2 different occasions. In one of these instances, she sought help at the office of her apartment complex, explaining that she wanted to escape because Tiffany had restrained her with a belt and given her a cold shower. The police intervened, but Tiffany and a man argued that the girl was not being honest. Without sufficient evidence to back Emani's claims, she was returned to the Moss residence. In another incident, Emani was found sleeping in a nearby apartment complex's shrubbery after running away. She was discovered by a police officer, and she divulged that she had run away because her stepmother was being harsh and unkind to her. In a surprising turn of events, the officer reported her to defax and lodged a complaint against Emani for violating curfew rules and running away to ensure she would stand before the juvenile court. Between 2011 and the summer of 2013, the Moss household relocated within Georgia, occasionally residing with kin. The patriarch, Iman, was rarely seen by his daughter Iman, except on weekends due to his demanding work hours. In the initial phase of their solitary existence, Iman's interaction with her extended clan was seldom. This pattern prevailed till a special occasion around May. Shiraness, Iman's sibling, invited the Moss clan over to her place, including their mother Robin, to commemorate the event. Both Sharon and Robin instantly noticed a drastic change in Iman's appearance. Her hair had been shortened. Upon inquiring with Tiffany, Robin was met with a curt response. If one behaves unpleasantly, one is bound to appear unattractive too. They also began noticing that Iman's disposition was gradually becoming more reticent than they recalled. Despite enduring mistreatment at home, Iman managed to maintain impressive academic records and a moderately upbeat outlook at educational institution. With the closing of the academic year running from 2012 through to 2013, the Moss household openly expressed their intent to withdraw Iman from formal schooling in favor of home tutoring. Sharon, Iman's aunt, vociferously protested against this move and even reached out to Child Protection Services. Her plea, however, fell on deaf ears as it was dismissed on the grounds that since Moss already had 2 younger kids at home, the situation impliedly didn't warrant intervention. Isolation thus became a way of life for Iman, devoid of any interaction with the external world. On August 6, 2013, an unidentified report reached the Child Protective Authorities, which pointed out that Iman's well-being was being severely compromised due to negligence at the hands of her legal guardians. The report also noticed alarming weight loss in Iman. Unfortunately, the authorities failed to investigate these complaints, citing a lack of a current address and detailed information about the ongoing ill treatment. The event mentioned earlier was the final interaction for Iman with her external family. Thereafter, the Moss household moved into a flat in Lawrenceville, Georgia. With her withdrawal from school, the extended family was bereft of any opportunity to meet Iman. Simultaneously, Iman was now juggling a pair of jobs, resulting in his further absence from the household. He would depart early in the morning, return in the evening, just to leave again at around 6 p.m. for his second workstation, finally returning post-midnight. Consequently, the upbringing of the children, especially Iman, mainly fell onto Tiffany. While there were no official records of Tiffany's biological children being subjected to any ill treatment, Tiffany didn't refrain from continually mistreating Iman. Sometime following the summer of 2013, Tiffany resorted to starving Iman. Despite being naturally lean, Iman's progressive weight drop was noticeably visible. It's considered that this torment persisted for several weeks, while Iman was disproportionately confined to her bedroom. New folks nearby only noticed the pair's younger offspring and were unaware of an elder daughter's existence. Over time, Emani weakened to such an extent that she couldn't leave her bed, even for basic needs. Tiffany would tend to and feed her blood-related kids while withholding food from Emani. On several instances, she sent him communications that included pictures of the meals she had cooked for their offspring, and once requested he return with a bring back a doughy treat for baking, which poor Emani had to sense from her room while on the edge of malnutrition. On October 24, 2013, Emani underwent what appeared to be a seizure, according to Iman. He accounted that upon his return, Tiffany informed him of an issue with Emani. He found his daughter lying in the restroom's tub, quivering. Emani was unresponsive, with her eyes continually rolling. Rather than seeking medical aid, Iman carried her back to her resting place, where she remained for the upcoming days. During this time, he visited her, offering sustenance unsuccessfully. Sadly, on October 28, 2013, she ceased living. Iman was apprised of her demise when Tiffany rang him at his workplace. Upon returning, everything at their residence appeared ordinary. Their offspring were engaged in play. Tiffany was engaged in leisure with the television, while Emani lay lifeless upstairs in her quarters. Upon discovering his lifeless daughter on a blanket on her chamber floor, he suggested to Tiffany the need to inform law enforcement. As expected, Tiffany resisted, fearing the potential loss of their other two children. She sternly recommended the concealment of the body. Thus, Iman swaddled Emani's remains in a blanket and returned her to her resting place. The pair incredibly retained Emani's body in the apartment for some additional days while re-establishing their habitual routines. Post-agreeing to hiding Emani's passing, Tiffany ventured out to purchase fresh sheets and a clean outfit as the items on the bed were reeking and soiled. She proposed they cremate the body and report her as missing. Iman procured a metal trash can, garbage covers, charcoal, and an inflammable substance at a local store. On the eve of All Hallows Day, they opted to place her remains into the trash can facility and set it aflame. When they attempted to place her in the garbage bin, they discovered her body had hardened due to the advanced physiological changes after death. Thus, they had to separately fracture several of Manny's bones. They subsequently utilized adhesive tape to fold and compact her skeletal structure together. Iman shrouded her with a comforting material prior to fitting her into a trash bag and placing her in the bin. The succeeding dawn, they moved the garbage crate in the car's back seat with their additional two children aboard in quest of a location where they could incinerate it. Finally, they discovered a remote region and detached the garbage bin, complete with the man's cadaver, from their vehicle. They inserted chunks of grill material to the receptacle's base, soaked the cadaver using fuel for fire starter, and ignited it. As they witnessed her body in flames, they understood it wouldn't transform to dust. Subsequent to around 5 minutes, they extinguished the blaze and revisited their dwelling. However, Manny's cadaver remained in the bin. The day that succeeded the fire attempt, Eman attended his occupation with Manny's body lodged in his car. At his workplace, he confessed his criminal act to an associate, who asserted he should notify the police force. Following his round trip to both employment places and after contemplation, he contacted the police forces approximately at 4 in the dawn, verbalizing that his daughter's health was in a bad state and that he was experiencing thoughts of self-annihilation. Eman informed Tiffany about phoning law enforcement. Tiffany promptly commenced arranging her possessions, abandoning the bin holding Manny's remains located in the apartment complex's grassy field. She then absconded with their progeny in the family's vehicle. Upon the police's arrival, Eman declared to them that Manny had consumed harmful substances and perished. He alleged his confusion led him to place her body in the bin and attempted incineration of the corpse. The police force, shocked at the sight of Manny's charred body in the yard's trash bin, doubted his account and immediately considered both him and Tiffany as possible culprits. Eman was arrested right away, and a search for Tiffany was launched after her time on the lam. Eventually, Tiffany abandoned her children at her maternal figure's residence and opted to surrender herself to the police. Theon admitted to his untruthful account concerning Manny consuming harmful substances by herself.
Did you ever see any problems between Emani and Tiffany while you were at Pearlie's?
Yes.
Tell me about those.
Eman was indicted and found guilty of felony murder and the concealment of demise. He received a sentencing of life imprisonment without a chance at parole as per the agreement to bear witness against his wife Tiffany. Tiffany declined a plea agreement that could have resulted in the same sentence for her. The case against Tiffany instead proceeded to the court. Tiffany was assigned attorneys to assist in her case. However, she disputed this, deliberately ignoring the judge's caution. Rather than direct representation, she opted for the assistance of legal advisors to answer any questions concerning law. As a result, she didn't make an initial or final argument, nor did she cross-question the testimonies given. She was charged on 6 counts, which included 1 of intentional murder, 2 for homicide, 2 for mistreating a child, and 1 for hiding a demise. And she was adamant that divine intervention would assist her. Conversely, the prosecution put forward 18 testifiers, including Eman's Aunt Sharoness, her grandmother Robin, and a former primary school teacher. Eman, the father, and the medical professional who examined the corpse also testified. The most appalling revelation during the trial was Eman's undernourishment. When discovered, she measured a measly 30 pounds, declared by the medical examiner as being nothing more than skin and bone. The examiner concluded that the girl succumbed to hunger based on her weight, lost muscle volume, and an observation that her organs were noticeably smaller than normal. When they revealed post-mortem images of Emani to the jury, it was noticeable how she had lost weight. Some jury members had to avert their gaze, with one even shedding tears. During this, Tiffany Moss didn't lift her gaze once. Eman claimed during his testimony that during his assigned weekends with her, Emani used to eat plenty. The district attorney pled with the court not to grant Tiffany Moss life incarceration irrespective of parole, asserting that she was an unchangeable person. He stated that Moss had exhibited excessive cruelty and that there would always be a lurking dark side ready to unleash itself. On the 1st of May, the 36-year-old Tiffany Moss was condemned to death via lethal injection, marking the first occurrence of a death sentence in Georgia in over half a decade. The judge arranged her execution to occur between the 7th and 14th of June of 2019, although this date is subject to modification due to appeal proceedings. Both Tiffany and Eman continued to be married, and following Emani's death lost custody of their other 2 children. The children were allocated to foster care, overriding attempts by both sets of grandparents to obtain custody.